According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Chelsea have presented their projects to Benjamin Sesko. RB Leipzig have offered him a new improved contract as well. It's in Sesko's hands now. It's time to decide. So let's start with the RB Leipzig factor first. So I thought, for me, he was not going to sign a new contract or anything like that, or Leipzig wouldn't offer him a new contract. I thought, listen, they just want to pull in more money, so they'll just try to take it all the way to June and then get money for him and then sell him. RB Leipzig sell a lot of players, let's be honest. Recently players like Forsberg is gone to USA. I'll not be surprised if Olmo left, Kunku has left, Van has so many players have left Leipzig over the years, and it's not surprising at all to see players leaving Leipzig at all. So I'd not be surprised if this one left at all. But they've actually offered him a new contract. Do you think they're doing this because he's a really good player and they see him as part of the team, or do you think they're just doing it like the Osimhen one, just to get the money up for January of the next season?
I think when it comes to RB Leipzig, Dortmund, Benfica, at Ajax, you can never undermine them in terms of sporting a very good player. You can never ever undermine them. Like it's the same way you would respect Madrid about winning the next UCL. You always respect them. So RB Leipzig have seen this boy from the Red Bull Salzburg team in Austria, and they have said he could go to Man United. He could have gone anywhere, but they have said bring him here because they know this is a real talent. This is a very, very, a good talent with, a high prospect. Now, I don't think he's actually at the level. We're going to talk about the contract later on. I don't think he's at the level where you're saying they want to absolutely keep him because, he's one of the best players on the planet. But they're just forecasting. They're saying if he has scored 13 goals in 14 games in the last part of the season, what if we gave him 30 games and he scored 20? Right? The thing with strikers is he can score 14 and you're like, he scored below 20. But he just needs to add 4 more goals to make it 18 or 6 more goals to make it 20. And it's very, very attractive. So I think that new value, that new contract is to protect the value of the player, protect the value for RB Leipzig to make him a lot of money, but not because they're just holding him ransom, because they know and they knew right from the first place when they were getting him, this was our Erling Haaland. This is our chance to make 65 plus million pounds, not euros, from a striker as well. So I think it's purely financial and it's also purely out of admiration and trying to continue the project they started almost a year ago when they actually got him from, actually not a year ago because Red Bull Salzburg is also part of their club. So the project started a long time ago and they have seen his development, they have seen his progression. They're like, 1 more year and this guy, we're getting 70 million, we're getting Darwin Núñez numbers.
Interesting, because I didn't actually expect him to be offered a new contract at all. That's a very, very surprising news. So if he does love the region,
I actually expected it, because if we think about release clauses, the only player you don't give a new contract when his release clause is near is a player that you're willing to sell at that price. I don't think Leipzig are willing to lose Sesko at 55 million pounds. It would be criminal for them.
Interesting. Now, the problem is if he loves the region like Zubimendi loves the Basque region and he wants to stay there, then he might decide to sign the contract. Now, Leipzig are not the only team that have actually put a proposal on the table. He has 3 other proposals on the table: Arsenal, Manchester United, and Chelsea. Now, before we go to Man United and Chelsea, what do you think Arsenal have offered him in terms of wages, in terms of playing time? Do you think we've, promised him game time as a center forward most of the games? Do you think you're offering place like a place on the bench? You're going to play some games, you're not going to play some games, and do you think that is going to appease him enough to choose us ahead of the other 3 teams?
Yeah, I think in terms of the Arsenal offer, I would also be very, very interested to see how much attractive we've decided to go, and how truthful we are to this young lad. But when we consider the fact that it was discussed internally after the Bayern game that Arsenal lacked a certain X-killer factor in that game, right? On a big stage. And I think that is this idea, that is the dream they're selling to Benjamin Sesko. We don't have a player like you. So when we play a club like Bayern, when we play the UEFA Champions League, on all the big stages, you are going to be considered and your game time is there. We're getting rid of the likes of Edin Ketia. We're getting rid of the likes of, Gabriel Jesus either this summer or next summer. You're going to be an important player. Secondly, what Arsenal can offer all these clubs that all these clubs cannot offer is we are the next project. We are the next big thing. And I think many fans actually, if Ligan heard me saying this, he will be like, not yet until we win. But I'm going to allow myself to be a little bit deluded here. I think it is set in stone that Arsenal win the Premier League in the next 2 years. It is set in stone.
I agree.
That project, that age range, that manager, I'm sorry, if we don't win it, it is supernatural forces. It is UFO, aliens controlling the Premier League, just end the league. It is set in stone. So I think when you're a player like Ben Sesko, and we talked about this before, why young players would join Arsenal right now and why superstar players would join Arsenal right now, it is the project that has reached self-actualization. It's the project that is reaching self-actualization. It's about polishing, right? The report that I read today that I liked the most was last summer, Arsenal were trying to finish what you would call the skeleton or the framework of their project. This summer, they're looking to add depth and quality so that Mikel Arteta can work with a bigger pool of players. Last season, he worked with a pool of 14 players that were consistently sharing the minutes. Next season, he wants to work with around 18 to 20 players that are actually sharing the minutes. So if you're Benjamin Sesko and you look at how Arsenal really performed, you're like, this is a project I want to be part of. And I think it's also been offered the option of look at Kai Havertz. He's not a center forward. I mean, you've got to talk to him about that. He's not a center forward, and what he has done in terms of 20 GA, there is no guarantee that he can actually maintain that. Whereas you, who's coming in to be fed by players like Ben White, who are improving every single day, Julian Timber, who is a creative player, Declan Rice, Odegaard, you have the chance to come and put in crazy numbers in a well-organized project like Arsenal. In terms of wages, I think we will double his wages to around 100,000. In terms of progress, I think there's no doubt there. Like, Arsenal don't need to tell him that in this place young talents thrive. We don't need to tell him that in this place players that need to prove a point to the whole world thrive. We don't need to tell him that. So I think Arsenal have tabled something good. The question is, are we going to beat the lucrative offer offered by Leipzig? Because that is something both of us really need to talk about. Because I've been very overwhelmed today. Really overwhelmed with what they've done.
Leipzig have Champions League football. We have Champions League football. Yeah. Something we can both offer ahead of those two other teams in Man United and Chelsea. Man United can offer Europa League. Chelsea can offer Conference League football. Now, first of all, I'm not sure why Man United want him. What do you think Man United are offering? Because they already have Højlund as a centre forward and Rashford and Garnacho playing on the left side. Do you see Sesko starting at Man United if he goes there?
Yeah, I see Sesko starting at Manchester United, especially with the inconsistency and the attitude of Marcus Rashford. Now, the thing with Alejandro Garnacho and whoever could play on the wings, either Anthony or Jadon Sancho or Amad Diallo, is their quality. You expect them to give you maybe 12 goals and maybe 6 assists, and that's the end of it, maximum. With a player like Benjamin Sesko, we've got to agree that Manchester United missed the brilliance of a player like Rashford this season. So if they get a player like Benjamin Sesko, they know we have Rashford, we have Sesko, we have Anthony, and we have Rasmus Højlund. You have those 4 players that are really reliable. They're trying to rebuild, obviously. At the moment, their project is still, on bare bones. Their midfield is non-existent. Their defense is non-existent. But I see him as a player who would go there and actually play alongside Rasmus Højlund. I wouldn't see him on the bench a lot of the time, given the lack of quality they have on that forward line.
That's very interesting. Last question. Out of those 3 teams, which one worries you the most in terms of beating us to Sesko?
It's very interesting actually, because then it needs us to dive into the projects that have been the proposals that have been tabled for Benjamin Sesko. So let's start off with the one at RB Leipzig. The one at RB Leipzig is the one we concretely know what has been offered. Number one, they're offering him Premier League wages, so that would be double the wages he's getting right now at Leipzig. Secondly, they have UEFA Champions League. Thirdly, they're giving him the option that if he does well and clubs return for him next summer, he's actually going to be sold. They're not going to stand in his way. When you think about all that, it's a very good offer, right? It's a very, very good offer. And that is the best RB Leipzig can offer. But I don't think, because he's been offered 100,000, Arsenal are going to give him 200,000. I don't see Arsenal do that kind of deal. Chelsea would be the mad ones that would triple his wages at the moment. We know, but Man United are not in position to actually do that. So in terms of wages, you've got to be cautious about that Leipzig deal, right? One of the basic reasons why he would want to move right now is just 21. We'll be like, what? 100,000 a week? I've got to go and make this money. Leipzig are saying, we are going to give you Premier League wages. Do not worry about that. And also, we are going to make you the star of the project. You're going to be the star of the project this season. This coming season. So one of the reasons I assume Sesko would want to leave is Openda, and also the fact that he wasn't the main man, and he thinks, I'm my own man. I've scored a couple of goals. I should have been the lead man in this project. Xavi Simons, who's been playing up top, is probably going to Bayern, probably going somewhere. We shall be getting news about that. So there is now a new opening for Sesko on that forward line, and I don't think there is any manager that is going to put him on the bench after what he did for them in the last few games. So lead man and star of the project, Champions League, good wages, and he has guarantee that he can leave. That is also a very good factor. And also, he doesn't have to adapt to any new environment. He's just come from Austria. One more season, if you're advising Sesko and you're his agent, this is what you would say. One more season at a top club in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe would do you more good as compared to you going to crush yourself into a project like Man United that is dead at the moment, or Chelsea that you don't know what is going to happen under the new manager. So I am afraid of that Leipzig's position, that Leipzig proposal. I would love to know what you think about it, because most players would put pen to paper on that deal.
Yeah, especially if he's convinced that he's going to be a starter there. That's a deal he probably would take. There's a lot of players that have moved on from their teams, and we felt like they moved on a bit too early. No standout jump on my head right now. I don't know if you can remember any, but I'm sure there's last couple of years you've looked at a player and they're like, this guy has moved on too quickly. I think one of them had to move to Liverpool. I've forgotten who it was, but yeah, you feel like they've moved too early to stay in their team for one more season and then see how it has gone. If any other offers come in, can Real Madrid come in?
On top of my list would be Enzo at Chelsea.
Enzo Chelsea would have stayed at Benfica for at least up until the end of that season, and then see what other teams. Maybe Barcelona would have wanted him, maybe Bayern would have wanted him, maybe Real Madrid would have come in for him. So players do move on a bit too quick. But we were told that Sesko, we were going to make an offer this week, and it looks like he's our point of focus, and we're very serious on him. And if he actually does choose Arsenal, then I think that deal will progress very quickly, and we'll get it done.